The night before Haicheng in the winter of 1975, in the Chinese city of Haicheng, something strange started happening days before anyone understood why. Snakes came out of hibernation in the middle of winter and froze to death in the open. Chickens refused to go inside their coops and screamed through the night. Dogs barked for hours at nothing anyone could see or smell. Pigs chewed through wooden pens and bolted into the streets, and rats were seen running across open roads in broad daylight, ignoring people completely. Local officials took all of it seriously enough, combined with other warning signs, that they evacuated hundreds of thousands of people. Less than 24 hours later, a 7.3 magnitude earthquake leveled the city. So here's the question: did those animals actually know something was coming? Or did people just notice strange behavior, and then, after the ground shook, go looking for a reason that fit? Let's find out what's actually going on. This isn't a new idea, and it isn't unique to China. Reports of animals acting strangely before earthquakes go back thousands of years. The Roman writer Pliny the Elder described animals fleeing in panic before a quake in the 1st century. In Japan, there's an old legend about a giant catfish called namazu, sleeping beneath the islands, whose thrashing causes earthquakes, and for centuries, fishermen claimed they could predict tremors just by watching how catfish behaved in their tanks. In 1783, after a massive earthquake hit Calabria, Italy, survivors reported that dogs had been howling continuously for hours beforehand, that horses refused to enter their stables, and that geese had refused to settle for the night. In 1906, before the San Francisco earthquake, multiple residents later described their dogs as frantic, pacing, whining, trying to get outside in the early morning hours. And going back even further, ancient Greek writers described the city of Halicia, destroyed by an earthquake in 373 BC, where rats, snakes, weasels, and centipedes were seen fleeing the city in large numbers days beforehand, abandoning their burrows entirely. Different continents, different centuries, different species, the same basic story keeps showing up. In May 2008, days before a devastating earthquake struck Sichuan province in China, residents in a nearby town reported something that made national news. Tens of thousands of toads were seen migrating across roads, sidewalks, and parking lots, in numbers so large that people stopped their cars. It wasn't breeding season. There was no obvious reason for the migration. Local news covered it as a curiosity. Days later, the earthquake hit, killing tens of thousands of people. Afterward, seismologists were asked about it directly, and most gave a careful answer. It might be related. It might also be a coincidence, because toads migrate for plenty of reasons that have nothing to do with earthquakes, and that careful, frustrating answer is actually the most honest place to start. For most of modern history, scientists treated all of this as folklore, and for a long time, that skepticism made sense. Here's the problem: earthquakes are dramatic, and strange animal behavior is extremely common. Dogs bark at night constantly, birds scatter constantly, toads migrate constantly. Most of the time, nothing happens afterward at all, but you don't remember the thousands of nights your dog barked for no reason. You remember the one time it barked and the ground shook 6 hours later. That's confirmation bias, and it's a real problem in science. Without recorded data from before an earthquake, every animal story is just a memory reshaped by what happened afterward. To take this seriously, researchers needed something they almost never had access to: continuous, automatic data, recorded before anyone knew an earthquake was coming. Here's where it gets interesting, because there's real physics behind this. Earthquakes don't begin with the shaking you feel. They begin with seismic waves, and not all seismic waves travel at the same speed. P waves, the fastest ones, move through solid rock ahead of everything else, sometimes arriving seconds, or even tens of seconds before the slower S waves that produce the rolling shake humans actually notice. Animals with paws, hooves, or bellies in constant contact with the ground can feel those P waves as vibration before a human standing upright would feel anything at all. Snakes take this even further. Without external ears, snakes rely on their lower jawbone, pressed directly against the ground, to pick up vibrations that travel through solid earth. A snake lying still in winter, half buried, is essentially in constant physical contact with the exact medium that P waves travel through fastest. Then there's sound. Elephants are known to pick up infrasound frequencies far below human hearing through sensitive nerve endings in their feet and trunks. Rocks under extreme stress before a quake can produce exactly that kind of low-frequency rumble. Catfish, the same animals from the old Japanese legend, have electroreceptors along their bodies sensitive enough to detect tiny changes in electrical fields in water, and some researchers believe that rocks under pressure release charged particles that can briefly alter local electromagnetic conditions, both in the ground and in the air above it. None of this requires an animal to understand what an earthquake is. It only requires the animal to notice that something, right now, in this exact moment, feels wrong. The Italian cattle study in 2020, researchers from the Max Planck Institute, led by a scientist named Martin Wikelski, ran a study that finally gave this idea something close to real data. They attached small motion sensors to cows, sheep, and dogs on farms in an earthquake-prone region of central Italy, and recorded their movement continuously, around the clock, for months. Then they waited. When several earthquakes eventually struck the region, the researchers went back through months of recorded movement data and looked at the hours immediately before each quake. In every case, the animals showed unusual, elevated movement, far outside their normal baseline, restless pacing, disrupted sleep patterns, sudden bursts of activity, for no visible reason. And the closer an animal's location was to the eventual epicenter, the earlier the restlessness began. In some cases, the shift started up to 20 hours before the ground moved. 20 hours. That's not a dog barking 5 seconds before a tremor. That's a measurable, recorded, change in behavior nearly a full day in advance, with no human memory, no storytelling, and no hindsight involved at all. Why this still isn't a warning system? So, if the data is real, why don't we just build an early warning system around it? Because noticing something is completely different from predicting something. The animals in that study got restless before earthquakes that actually happened, but animals also get restless for reasons that have nothing to do with earthquakes at all. Storms, predators, hunger, illness, even another animal in the herd acting strange. In follow-up analysis, researchers found that for every genuine pre-earthquake signal, there were dozens of similar restless episodes that led to nothing at all. If you tried to evacuate a city every time farm animals seemed uneasy, you would be wrong constantly, and within months, no one would listen to the warning at all. The signal might be completely real, but it's buried inside an enormous amount of noise, and right now, nobody has found a reliable way to separate the two. The animals aren't broken alarms, we just don't have the decoder yet. Step back from earthquakes for a second, because there's something bigger happening here. Right now, in the room you're sitting in, there are almost certainly things occurring that you cannot perceive at all. Sounds below the range your ears can register. Vibrations too small for your body to notice. Shifts in pressure and electromagnetic fields passing through the space around you constantly. Completely invisible to every sense you have. You are, in a very real sense, sealed inside a narrow slice of everything that's actually happening around you. And you don't even notice the walls of that slice, because you've never once been outside it. Animals aren't operating with a better brain, or some mystical sixth sense. They simply have different doors built into their bodies, doors that open onto frequencies and forces that never make it through yours. So, back to Haicheng. The snakes that froze in the open, the pigs that broke through their pens, the chickens that screamed through the night, the dogs that wouldn't stop barking at nothing. They almost certainly weren't predicting an earthquake the way a seismograph does, reading numbers off a dial and understanding what they meant. They were responding to something real, something already happening around them, some early vibration through the ground, some sound below hearing, some shift in the air pressing against their bodies, hours before anyone with a working clock had any idea at all. The ground had already started talking. Almost nothing in that city was listening. Except the animals.